Welcome to my Porsche Tiger Tank series. This vehicle is part of a free vehicle build series all about the Porsche Tiger Tank. It's time for a new build. This time I will address Dragon's Ferdinand. I'm sorry, it will be a shelf clean. First things first, I have to apologize for last time's video that was not up to my standards. Here's the spin around of the Ferdinand from s.Pz.Jg.Abt. I owe you this one, and I would like to thank you guys for the 850 subscriber mark we passed this week. You guys keeping subscribing is what motivates me for doing better videos. Thank you so much. Our first Ferdinand was a relatively new vehicle, and I had this Dragon kit laying around in my shelf. So I tried to rebuild it as a more battle-worn vehicle by the end of the summer offensive in 1943. This gives us the opportunity to look a little bit more into field modifications and follow the history of this chassis. This is a shelf clean. I built it when I had absolutely no skills at all. Doesn't mean I have some by today, but it's getting better and better. The Dragon kit has a metal barrel and is a little bit better in its details than the one from s.Pz.Jg.Abt. And I was able to salvage it or destroy it to a point where I can fix my worst beginner's mistakes and add a little modifications that would occur later down the road. But now let's go for an early victory this time and deal with the clear periscopes. First I apply some latex mask, that's liquid mask, whatever you want to call it. That's one from Humbrol, I think. And it's very hard on the brush, so I would advise to use an old brush or try a toothpick. And obviously I'm just covering the vision ports on these periscopes. Next step is to paint them, and I use Tamiya XF1. That's a lacquer based paint. For obvious reasons we can't prime it really well, so having a paint that sticks better than your typical acrylics is a good start. Next I dry brush them with Vallejo Silver. That's just getting rid of the most paint in the brush and make the edges a little bit more highlighted and worn. Yeah, I get it, dry brushing is not the best technique to use on a scale model, but here it works. And now the most rewarding part. We can remove the liquid mask and we get the result. And yes, I painted all of the periscopes just to have a few in stock, and not all of them turn out all too great. Installed? Yes, definitely an improvement. Okay, when it comes to rebuilding this kit, I have about all of the relevant vehicles in my stash. So making out the missing parts, bits and pieces and finding them in other Dragon boxes was not a problem at all. The decals are salvageable, some photo etch I found for it, and the missing pistol port or self-defense port things. In terms of field modifications, these steps were often removed. Some of these vehicles were really lost through close quarter encounters with Soviet soldiers, so the threat was real and close quarter defense capabilities were not in the design. Yeah, they were actually. There was a MG planned for it, but they couldn't manufacture it. 200mm front armor, there was no chance to get this typical German ball mount, MG mount, in the casemate. So they developed a machine gun that fits with a liner into the barrel, giving at least some limited capabilities to defend itself. Another thing was the toolbox moved to the back where the operator had more cover, and some rain protection for the motor compartment was added to the front of the casemate. That was a relatively early modification, so we see a lot of Ferdinand having them. Into the painting of the vehicle, I followed the steps I already showed in the first episode of this build series, so there was no difference. The main color remains the Dunkelgelb nach Muster, dark yellow according to standard. Only thing that changed was the brand of the paints for the underpainting, and there's a more heavy chipping layer underneath the base coat. I have to emphasize this for later. Now onto the camo scheme. We already had this iconic spiderweb camo of the heavy tank destroyer unit 654. This vehicle is from the sister battalion 653. These vehicles were painted by their maintenance company, and each battalion had its own company, so you have two very distinct styles in camouflage of the Ferdinand as it was used during Operation Citadel. Nevertheless, the vehicles were put together into the 653 by September, so there are exceptions of course. And the camouflage is painted with my Infinity CR Plus von Harder & Steenbeck using the 0.15mm nozzle. It's really late in the year for my vehicle. I wanted to emphasize this by using a spare part in the RAL 7028 Dunkelgelb that would have been put on past September, so we are entering October to December era here. The green cloudy camouflage was outlined in brown more often than not, and I spray this very faded in general. For my vehicle it's late 1943, so there was quite some time for the camo paste to fade or weather away. The camo paste is dissolvable in petrol, so it has a little bit different chemical properties than the base coat in general. I would like to show this from the get-go and take some of the weathering process already into the painting. But now onto the tracks. Dragon is supplying its magic tracks, beautiful single link tracks we have to assemble and clean a lot. There are a lot of extractor marks on there, but in the end the result is absolutely worth the effort. And for painting them I go for a relatively easy approach. I airbrush them in some dark brown mixture and then I dry brush it. My brown mixture I did by myself turns out to be relatively close to the one from Ammo by Mick, the dark track, just in case you don't want to mix it yourself, I guess. And for a little bit effect I dry brush them again with silver. Yeah, it's a basic approach for tracks, nothing too fancy, but I think that's a good base to start improving up on. And my goodness, I have so many points on my list I have to improve in my builds, so the tracks are fine for me for now. They don't look too bad, and with the weathering they get better. The insignia here at the bar cross I already covered in the first episode of this build series. I used the spraying mask from Eduard, some off-white, and for the black it's Tamiya XF1. For the record I painted this together with the Svesta one, so it has a little bit of the same problems. Here we are for now. That's the vehicle, but two things are missing. First, I utilized heavily the chipping layer underneath it, and yes, 5 months after the chipping layer is still active, so I will talk about this in the next episode, I think. The chipping was done in basically every area that would have been used by the crew. The vehicle was 3 to 4 months out there, and of course this does not go away without some scuffs and scratches here and there. Onto my arch nemesis, making mud and dirt deposits. I have a really nice formula I came up with I would like to show you, but yeah, First we need some filler medium, that's talcum used with acrylic medium, some paint, and for a little bit texture some modeling sand. That gives a really nice acrylic paste, and yeah, the guy applying it here in the video has to go back to school. Here I would like to leave you guys. This is the vehicle we start to weather in the next episode. There will be 10 minutes, plenty of time to show some weathering on it. But before I leave you, thank you so much in advance for subscribing to my channel. And I would like to have one honest opinion from you guys, and this is about the way I showed the products in this video I used. I'm not supported, not sponsored by anyone, and I gave them quite a bit of airtime. Is it helpful in case somebody gets inspired by accident or wants to mess up a scale model completely? Yeah, or was it just too much? Please let me know. Thank you so much. Happy modeling. See you next time.